Roll call, we've already recited the Pledge of Allegiance. And we could have a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meetings. Do you want to make a motion to accept all the...
There are no meetings, sir. There are no
Yeah, there are no minutes.
There are no minutes?
No,
Okay.
they will be at the August meeting.
Okay, sounds good.
How many vendors do we have?
One of the communications that we have was a thank you from Skip Small. He was a firefighter that was here last week that we presented an award to for actually 52 years of service in the call force of the fire department. So that was very, very nice for Skip to come. And public comment section of the thing. I think the first thing we'll do right off is, if Mike, could you come up, please, or stand up, or I can come up there, or we can meet halfway and stuff, you know.
Well, it was good for the camera, man.
Yeah, and,
You want to get this to tour?
oh, yeah, sure. You know, there's gonna be a few people talk. Obviously, Mike has been our town manager now for 15 years. And before that, he was the chief of police for how many years? 6 years. So he's been with us for almost 20 years total. So to really say what Mike is about is really very hard to do. His calm demeanor, his leadership during trying times, and his friendship to me has been critically important as he's guided the council and guided people through a lot of problems. And I can't say enough about Mike. But I wanted some of the department heads to come up and say a few things too. Judy, come on up. If you feel comfortable, it's good. Sure. Yeah, because that's okay.
First of all, I'm very honored to have been asked to speak today on behalf of the department heads and all the town office staff. And I get nervous, so I have to write my notes down, right, to get it right. You know, this isn't the limerick, that's in October. Right. So I was a little nervous about making a little speech today, and I Googled how to write a farewell speech for your retiring boss. It was a little too serious, and I didn't get all the big words. So I decided to share all of his accomplishments instead. There are plenty of accomplishments, and I'm very pleased that you included us in those as well. And I think I'm speaking for everybody. I'm not hyperventilating. Speaking for everybody when I say that you've led by example. I've worked several different towns and for several different town managers, and quite honestly, you are the first boss as a town manager that's allowed myself, and I know I speak for everybody, to expand their own department, feel the support coming from you and the council in whatever we did, support when the taxpayer comes in and they're angry, your calm demeanor, just like he said, you led by example, and I don't know how many times I myself would say, I wish I could be more like Mike, because I could feel if there's a critical situation, or you're dealing with a taxpayer, or you're dealing even with personnel or coworkers, you know, there's going to be a situation. I've been in the business for 32, 34 years now, getting old. But you've made coming to work, I think it revived me. You know, and everybody else knows, if you're in a certain career for a long time, it starts to go south. And I think coming to Winslow, you said you thought I would like it. It was 10.5 years ago. I was really sad leaving Rockport. I didn't know you. I didn't know anybody that worked there except for the previous assessor. But when all was said and done, I'm still hearing you say good morning when you come in, you know, for your coffee. And I'm the first one there in the morning. I'm in the back, and it's like, good morning. And he'll stop, and before he's even made his coffee, he'll stop and he'll say hello, and how was your weekend, and did you get a chance, and how's Rick? And always knowing everybody's stories. So I appreciate that. I think the one big thing that we're all going to miss is the brisket, the smoked brisket. So we hope we have you on our menu list for the October party when you come. But I think that's really it. That's pretty much it. And the one thing I was going to say was, what's funny is that I was going to thank him for everything he's done for us, but he was the guy that came into my office on his last day and to thank me for everything I had done since we worked together. I mean, he came in and said, I really appreciate everything you've done. I went, wow, thank you. You know, that's just the kind of guy he is. So, do you like your accomplishments to remind you, or you might need the toilet paper to be a trip?
It's on fire.
You're welcome.
Oh, you're not done yet.
Well, Mike, I'm behind Judy, I'm the oldest one here, so, you know, you kind of took a chance on me when I come down here, because this was really my first major public works position, and you've been very supportive. And made the process, you know, fairly easy. I mean, I know I'm always coming in asking for money, but most of the time you've had all the departments back, so I really appreciate that. Like Judy said, you know, we walk in and every day Ronnie's like I am, you know, we walk in, the door's open, you're like, you know, and we talk, you know, you never kick us out. A few times the doors closed. It doesn't happen very often, so thank you very much, and I really hope you enjoy your retirement, and we're definitely going to miss you. Thanks.
Yeah, Mike made the mistake last meeting to say he would like to be part of some committees and stuff, so in between time, the last week, he's on 7 committees, he's chairing 6 of them, so, and that's now, you have, when you come back in October, you don't even know. You probably want to stay away for a little while, but, and that's what type of Mike is. You know, we have an old history, and he's interested in history in Fort Halifax, and he's been a proponent of the park and of Fort Halifax, and that's something we both had in common, and making waves. Peter, would you like to say a few things about Mike? Not to put you on the spot or anything, but I know that you've had a lot of interactions with him and stuff, you know.
Make something up, Peter.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, I guess what I would say is the same thing that I've always said to my kids when my kids are growing up. Wherever you go, there you are. And I always gave the advice that people are going to remember dates. They're not going to remember dates, names, and places, but they're always going to remember how you made them feel, whether that was positive or whether it was negative. And you've always been someone, just in a short amount of time that I've known you, that's always made you feel as though you were heard. And when you left a meeting with you, it felt as though you could trust that whatever it was that you discussed would be followed up on. And that's an important piece. To stay someplace for a long time means that there's trust. And that's huge. And I don't know your wife, but I would suspect that you've been a tremendous support, because I know that there are probably many nights when he's working, or weekends that he's working. I can sympathize with that, and without somebody like yourself supporting him behind the scenes.
Thank you.
It helps him to be successful in his position. So, on behalf of the school department, thank you, and you will be greatly missed.
We refer to Donna as Saint Donna. She's already been canonized in the, already, so that's fine. That's fine and stuff. Does anybody else would like to say something to Mike? That would be fine. But one thing, when Mike comes back from his vacation, he's volunteered in October, if he ever does come back. He's volunteered to come back and help the town manager, you know, train and do the budget process for a little while. So hopefully we'll take you up on that for sure. And Mike, you know, even in the last couple of weeks, you've always been a phone call away. You've always been a trooper for the town. There's not really much I can say except for the appreciation of everybody here, and you know what I mean, and the contribution of the town of Winslow. And what's good is the contributions that you'll make in the future, now that you have some time to really concentrate on them, you know. I figure by the time you get back from vacation, you can old history me, because I'll be an old timer. Not that I probably am already, but I'll be really an old timer. But that's something that, you know, you and I are looking forward to doing in town, and something that's really good. And
If I could just say.
oh, for sure.
Yeah, so I consider myself actually being blessed, having the opportunity to work here, and so I thank the town council for giving me that opportunity. I never came to work. I never felt like I was going to work when I come into the office. Every day was fun, and what most of you don't realize is I'm not the one that did the work, it was you doing the work. The only thing I did was facilitate. I just supported. So when the department head came in and had an issue, I know Amanda would come in and she would enjoy brainstorming, and then when she figured it out, she would jump up and say, okay, now I'm gonna go fix whatever it is I gotta fix, and that's all I did. I was a sounding board and I facilitated. So it was all of you that did the work. So that's why I thank you, because you worked very hard, you did a good job, you've done a good job, and Winslow, I think, is a very special place because of it, so thank you, appreciate it.
Mike, one question. Fort Halifax Park and railroad crossing. Did you ever get the railroad to tell us?
No, we're still on this. I was expecting good questions in that.
Yes,
Could I just say a few words on the planning board chairman? I've been a member of the planning board since 1971, and I've had the experience of working with several different town managers, and I have enjoyed working with Mike. No, we didn't agree with each other all the time, but we didn't get angry with each other, we just disagreed. And I appreciate the time and effort and good attitude that Mike has had during these several years, 15 years, as town manager. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
And Mike, in appreciation of the town council and all the department heads, and we're going to have something in the fall when you come back, so I can't wait for that, so that'll be nice. And we'd like to present you with this plaque from the town of Winslow. So if you can look, we had that, I made,
Oh, very nice.
but I had that print, and I thought it
very
was
good.
really well
Awesome.
done for the, you know what I mean, for the Fort Halifax, which we like so much.
Very good, thank you. Oh,
6 feet.
thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Did you bring your doll?
No, I didn't, I should have. I should have, yeah. So thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Now moving on with public comment. Peter Garrett has passed out a few informational things about trails. Peter, would you like to come up to the microphone and say a few words, please?
So, some of you know me as the founder of Kennebec-Messalonskee Trails. That was approximately 20 years ago, and the first trail that we built was partly in Winslow, and it's what's called the Rotary Centennial Trail, and it comes from Benton Station down the old railroad bed towards the abutment that would lead over into the Waterville Railroad Yard with the bridge no longer there. That was built in 2004, and it was it's such a beautiful trail that it was actually labeled as a part of what's called the East Coast Greenway. The East Coast Greenway is a different kind of concept. It was like the AT, the Appalachian Trail, but not in the mountains. It was built on, the idea was to build it on the lowlands between Florida and Calais, Maine. And if you wanted to ride a bike all that way, you could. Most of it's on-road, 30% of it is off-road. And our portion of the trail, our portion of the trail in Winslow, which is the East Kennebec Trail, and also the Rotary Centennial Trail going up into Benton, is now part of the labeled East Coast Greenway. The only problem is that the East Coast Greenway, the surface of the East Coast Greenway, is supposed to be a gravel surface or a concrete surface or a paved surface. And as you know, the East Kennebec Trail, that is the part that is, let's say, south from the parking lot down next to the river off Benton Avenue, that access road there, is now grassed over. Now, a grass surface is not part of what's allowed under the East Coast Greenway criteria. And the funny thing is that was originally a gravel tote road built for heavy traffic going to the bark pile that was used by Scott Paper. Now it's grassed over. So here's the statement that you councillors have there is an account, I guess, basically of what I've just said. But I'm arguing that you, as the council, could perhaps sign on to approve this statement here. And it's a four-part statement, basically. What is now the trail was constructed as a gravel tote road for heavy traffic. Its gravel material is still there, is very compact, and can be seen where the grass has been worn away. And there's a picture of that. The trail is located in open terrain where grass is likely to colonize any gravel surface within a few years. In fact, that's exactly what happened with the section of the trail developed by Hydro-Kennebec in 2016, and you'll see a picture of that too. Tearing up the grass surface to expose the original gravel material and laying new gravel material over the 2,400 times 10 feet of trail surface has an estimated cost of $30,000 and is what East Coast Greenway design guidelines call for. Given that such a rebuilt trail is likely to become grassed over in a few years' time, that would be money wasted. Besides, number 4, local trail users, including cyclists, say that they like the trail as it is. So thus we urge the East Coast Greenway Committee responsible for trails in Maine to make an exception to their design specifications in this case. And my hope is that you as a council are prepared to sign on to this, that I can then pass on to the East Coast Greenway to make an exception.
Yep, I think what would happen, Peter, in this particular case is we would make that into a resolution.
Yes.
And then at the resolution, we would have a discussion phase of the resolution and vote on it as that resolution. So,
Yes.
I have the paper and, I can sponsor that resolution at the next meeting. And then I'll be more than happy to have discussion. If you could be here too.
Sure.
We could have a discussion period when we made a motion to accept the resolution.
Sure. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions to Peter about? Obviously, Peter, the amount of work that you've done, I can't even begin to fathom the hours and the dedication that you have put into the trails and the enhancement of town after town in the central Maine area for what you've done. And I just want to say, we don't say enough sometime how appreciative we are, people, but a lot of people are very appreciative of the work and the commitment that you've had to Central Maine Trails and the outdoors experience that you bring.
Thank you. I much appreciate that, and I'll pass the thank you back, because the town of Winslow, and thank you, Mike, particularly for your work and whoever worked on the Halifax Park trails. It's just a lovely place now. We were having a meeting down there just recently with this the rainstorm, and there was a nice gazebo that we can meet in and stay dry. And but it's a lovely park, and it was kind of abandoned when I first came to Winslow 40 years ago. And so a lot of things have happened, and thanks to the town of Winslow, Paul, I think your group has been mowing the East Coast Greenway, that grassy surface that we're talking
Probably
about.
more Amanda than us. but-
Okay.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec.
Amanda in the back of the room has been really kept up the place very, very well, and has
Yeah.
been a proponent of Fort Halifax Park and all the effort that's going on down there.
Yeah, so we just love working with the town of Winslow, and thank you. Good.
One of the things that, just for some information, Amanda currently is working on putting up 3 monuments for outlining the whole fort. So the Friends of Fort Halifax have donated, and through Amanda's department and some other people involved, in the next couple weeks, we'll be putting up stone monuments, at no cost to the town, pillars that outline the original fort. And a lot of work, and Mike has done a lot of work surveying and working through the Maine Historical Society, the Historic Preservation Commission, to make those dimensions, and that we have quite a 5 or 6 year plan in place that we're going to really enhance, and Ellery's been involved, so it's exciting what's going to go on down there in the next 4 or 5 years, and people that are coming forward with donations and stuff, so I look
Great.
forward to, Amanda's spearheading all that effort, so that's really good, so,
Good.
thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll make a resolution, and we'll present it at the next meeting, and I'll let you know.
Terrific. Thank you.
Okay. Public comment, there was, there was something else that I'm forgetting, for public comment. Is there anybody out there that thinks I'm forgetting something? Because I probably am, but I guess we can come back to it a little bit later. Okay, let's moving on to reports and committees and commissions. Town man-
Accept all as one.
Okay. Town manager's report?
I don't have a whole lot to report. I've only been here about 2 weeks, but
Supposed to fake it.
I can try to fake it. I'm not usually good at faking it, so. The only thing that I can think of that we've got going, we've got the large project out here on Benton Avenue that we're looking to do, that we've been working on for the sewer and water lines and everything, and had a conversation last week with our engineers in Kennebec Water District. It looks like we're probably going to be bidding that in the fall for spring. It's just the timing is just, right now, we haven't heard anything as far as financing. So I'm definitely not going to go out to bids until we know what we have for financing. And trying to rush things this fall is probably going to cost us money, because the contractor's going to have to put a couple crews together. So I think the consensus, Water District's the same way. They'd have better access to funding for in the spring as well. I did check out with the state, because we did get money from the state to rebuild the road when we're done, and they've told us we can, as long as we get started, I think towards the end of 21 or beginning of 22, we can carry it into 23, so we don't lose that $500,000 that we've gotten. That's about really all I've got. I mean, I don't know if you can think of anything, Mike, that I should fill them in on, of what's happened in the past. I'm still kind of just getting up to speed of what's been going on. I've been attending a couple meetings, and
Yeah, the turning lane, I'm assuming there's nothing new.
we met to the contractor, CMP, and everybody this afternoon. We're slowly progressing forward. I believe the easements are going to come out probably next week on that, and we'll get that signed. So the construction signs have started going up. I believe they still plan on hitting the ground next week and start doing some actual earthwork. We're going to have to work around the poles until we get stuff moved, but hopefully by the time you come back, it's going to be done and paved. Because if not, we're in trouble, because it's going to be cold.
Yep, in reference to the interim town manager, the council and other people are progressing with finding a replacement for Mike, and we're into the process, and hopefully within a relatively short amount of time, we'll have completed that process, and hopefully sooner than later, we'll have a new town manager.
How about Asset Road?
The Bassett Road, we're looking right now to probably get out there, start paving at the end of the last week of July, first week of August. The guys have been ditching, weather permitting. We lost a whole week. Not last week, the week before, because of the rain, so we didn't get anything done. But it's, we're probably about 2/3 of the way done to what we want to do this year, so we'll get that done. On another subject, as you guys are all aware, our police chief resigned, so I have started the process of advertising that position and accumulating resumes and moving forward to follow through on that process and find a replacement chief. I think that's all I have.
Thank you. And just before we move on, Ron, could you, I know that one of the biggest changes in the town of Winslow over the last month has been, we have started, we purchased an ambulance, and there's been a tremendous amount of work done for the licensing, the training, and Ron, I wonder if you could come up, and last Monday, actually, I think was the first day that we actually started transportation with our own ambulance to the hospitals in the area. Could you give us just a very short update and brief summary of that situation?
I would love to, and I appreciate the opportunity. This has been, from the start, one of my missions is to be able to provide this service to our citizens here. And I have to say that it has been overwhelmingly received as a blessing. I don't know what else to say, but everybody that we have serviced, we have run 14 calls in this week, transported 11, 6 of which were at the ALS or critical level, and 5 were at the BLS 3, didn't really need transport. But the sense of pride from the staff to be able to take care of the people they know and to deliver that care from start to finish to the hospital is done. It is the most welcome thing that I have seen in the residents that have seen it. The sense of community pride that it's built has been a phenomenal success. So I appreciate the council's willingness to grant us the opportunity to serve our citizens this way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your effort. Peter, I bet there's nothing going on with the schools and no issues there. But obviously, I know of what's happening, and if you could give us anything that you could, a summary as to what is actually going on.
Yeah, when we last met, we talked about a parent survey and getting some information out because we need a lot of this data and to be able to move forward. So we did do the parent survey and ask questions such as, you know, we're working hard to get the schools ready for fall. Are you planning on sending your child back to school? If we can provide the safe guidelines from the CDC, pending the requirements from the DOE as well. The Pediatric Association has put requirements out as well. I would say the vast majority of the parents would like to see their students back in school if we can do so safely. So that's a very positive thing. What we are waiting on, we're planning. We're planning for different options, as we talked about the other day. It's kind of like if I was to ask all of you right now, January 7th, 2021, Jeff, what's the weather going to be on January 7th, 2021? Trish, what do you think?
Probably snowing. Probably snowing.
Probably snowing. Cold, probably snowing. Lisa, what do you think?
Sunshine and 75.
It might be, right? So I can keep going around the table, but my point is I've got cold, I've got snowing, sunshine, probably 75. That's kind of where I'm at right now. So, but it's 3 weeks, 4 weeks away. And we've got multiple plans. We have committees that we've put together that we're required to put together, a reentry committee that requires to have certain people on it. We have a COVID-19 emergency team in case something happens, and what's our plan. So we're putting all of these things together. And we're waiting on some information from the state, because that information is going to be a metrics, and they're following the guidance from other states, and this is what other states have done as well. So you get a metrics based on the upticks or the downticks in your particular area. You'll get a rating, you know, red, yellow, green for your particular area. And with that rating, you will get some recommendations, guidelines in terms of if you decided to open your schools up, these are the things that you should have in place to try to guarantee the safest opening that you could possibly have. So once we get that information, I think you're going to see the regional superintendents meeting together and saying, here's what we have, how do we do this? But in the meantime, we're still planning on multiple fronts because we still don't know exactly what it is that we're going to have. I would say that we are optimistic about opening in some way. What that's going to look like, we're still not 100% sure, but that is the general trend right now.
Yeah. If we could ask a few questions. I know, and I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but
It's twice now tonight.
Yeah. As long as I know, it's.
It's a good thing you can think on your feet.
But I know that you had mentioned the use of the old junior high, if spacing does not, and you needed additional classrooms, was segregation that would offer a chance for segregation. That will be made in the future,
It
the
will.
decision in the future,
It will.
all that type of stuff.
It will. You've probably heard about the CARES money that the school districts have received. Every school district has received some CARES money that, and that the allocation of that is kind of followed along the Title I allocation. So we are going to receive some, and we need to put a plan together in order to how we're going to use that. I think the majority of ours is going to be used with additional transportation costs because we're still not hearing how many students we can put on a bus. There are different stories out there. So additional transportation runs, I think additional cleaning, sanitizing, the time that's going to take for custodial staff. Those things will use that money up. And if we needed to use some space, we've put some aside to help with the cost of that if it comes to that point.
Okay. And just for a little upgrade on, there's a committee that's been investigating the use of the junior high school and KV Cap has come back with some recommendations of putting 35 to 40 housing units into that school. So it's all kind of intertwining. That's going to be something that the council will have to discuss at the next council meeting, where hopefully we'll have some more concrete, situations about what that pertains to. So
Super.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much. So moving on into any other public anybody want to say anything, any other public comment? Moving on then to,
We have a motion to accept all the reports.
Yep, in a second. All those in favor of the reports, please raise your hand. Moving on now from public comment to resolution number 25-2019, providing for the authorization for the town manager to accept, this is table business, to attach proposal, letter of agreement from Dirico Engineering to design a drainage system for property on the Cushman Road at a cost of $14,000. It stays tabled, yep, so we're gonna move it off. Nope, okay, stays tabled. Resolution number 25-2020, providing for authorization for the extension of the town manager, Michael Haven's employment contract for up to 2 weeks after successor begins working for the town.
Motion to remove it from being tabled?
Yep. You have a second? I'll second that. Discussion? Any discussion? There's no discussion? I think when we had thought that the town manager would start earlier, and so as Michael, after the June 30th deadline, he would extend his contract for a couple weeks to train the town manager. And Mike has said that in the fall, if we do need some, we can entertain, you know what I mean, some other type of, he's willing to come in and also train at that time. Paul, you got anything to say on that, or?
No, I think that you're right. This was the extension of his contract, which at this time is not going to happen, so it should probably just be removed, and
Yep.
when Mike comes back, we'll work something out, a per diem or something to
Yep.
cover his time in the
Yep,
office.
Trish?
And in regards to the training, we talked about like event training, not like you sitting next to the person for 2 weeks straight, but more like coming in and if they had questions, they could go over it with you.
Even during budget time.
Yep. Yep. But he'll be on 13 committees, so he'll
Right.
have,
You'll be living here. I mean, you weren't before, so.
he'll be pretty much.
Camper will be parked in the back.
Is that, Lisa, that's not a roll, that's just a show of hands, right?
Correct.
That's just a, so, all those, I think we have to say, I think if we voted down, then that goes away if we don't say no, so. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? So, it's,
Yes, be opposed.
it's, yep, okay. Old business, order number 11-2020, providing for the authorization for the town manager to prepare a purchase and sales agreement with L. Stevens and Donna Mills Stevens, which will authorize the sale of 101 acres of land, tax map 3, lot 3, 8-H and 8-1 on the Maple Ridge Road for $70,000.
So move.
Second.
Open for discussion? I think we've already discussed this quite frequently. So, is that a roll call, or it is, right?
Yes, it is.
Yep, go ahead, Lise.
Jeff?
Yes.
Tricia Ayer?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes.
Lee Trahan?
Yes.
Yes.
Jerry, thank you. Everybody's in a different spot.
Order number 12-2020, providing for the sale of tax-acquired property. Those are the five tax-acquired properties that were in our package this week. So move. And second? Trish, second. Jerry, any discussion? Go ahead, Steve.
This is just for the one piece, right?
Yes.
Yep. Yes, this is for, yeah, oh, I'm sorry, yes, this is for the one piece.
Because there will be others coming up in the future, correct?
Yes, and thing, yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
In this packet, there's more coming.
There's more coming. This is for the one on.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Yes,
Gotcha. Yeah,
you've already voted on this once.
yeah. Any discussion? No discussion further? Yep, go ahead,
I
Steve.
assume this will be listed with a realtor? Is that how we do it now? We used to take bids. In the past, we've been listing it with a realtor, right?
Yeah.
I don't know which one we've used in the past.
We've used Dawn, we've used Century 21, I believe.
Does everybody want to continue that, to just list it with a realtor rather than putting out for bid? Yes, I think so. I think we did pretty good with it, didn't we?
Yes, we
I think-
did.
I think we have.
Yep.
The only difference, if we went out to bid,
Go ahead, Mike.
I'm
Yep.
just curious, is that the Haywood Road property?
Yes.
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 Okay, what that is proposing is to convey it to the abutter.
You're right.
that's right.
That's right. I apologize.
This is the one with the mobile home on it, right?
Yep, yes, that's correct.
That's right, because of the sewer situation, septic.
We've already got a monetary value on it as well, so.
Mobile home. It's a nice mobile home.
First reading was 6-0, so 6-0.
Oh, this, okay.
Any further discussion? No further discussion? Lisa?
Jeff West?
Yes.
Tricia Ayer?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes.
Lee Trahan?
Yes.
Jerry Clarion?
Order number 13-2020, providing for the acceptance of labor contracts between the council, 93 AFSCME and AFL-CLO, Winslow Fire and Public Works employees, and the town of Winslow.
Moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Do I have questions?
Questions for
Any
the chief,
questions
do
to
we?
the chief?
Yep, Chief, could you come up for a minute? I know that part of the change in the contract was from a 20-minute radius or 20-mile radius to I think it was 100 miles or?
60
60 minutes.
60 minutes.
Under normal driving. That's
Under
correct.
normal driving. And I can remember when we went to 3 firefighters way back, that was so that our call force, because we were diminishing in the call force, people didn't,
Not by design, but the call
right,
force was
but we
correct.
had said that going to added employees would enhance the call force because it would be full-time and part of the community or within a tone of the community. This seems to be like going against that a little bit. So if somebody's that far away, 60 miles, he wouldn't be on the call. He wouldn't be, when you tone out, available for fires and other things like that.
Yeah, it's kind of a confusing and sounds contradictory. The efforts to recruit during the process to hire additional firefighters has been limited by the fact that you take some people that want to apply, won't do so because they don't live here yet, and it would be nice to be able to have them put in the application, transition in, without having the stipulation of being within 20 minutes.
This doesn't say that they have to come in at a certain time, means that there can be 60 miles, but there's no guarantee that they'll move within the area. They might stay in that area because
That's
maybe
correct.
they're employed in that area in another position.
That's correct. I just had a brain dump.
Well, the other thing we were talking about too is right now, the full-time force is within that radius here that we're talking about.
That is correct.
They could say, well, now that I could move out 30 minutes, or I could move out, the existing force could further diminish the response of people that are on the fire department that are off duty.
Mr. Chairman, you bring up some valid points. However, I have to address the fact that Winslow is the only fire department within our mutual aid jurisdiction that has any kind of restrictions on residency. The other jurisdictions surrounding Winslow don't have a restriction. With regards to your concern about having sufficient resources to respond in the event of an incident that required additional staffing, we do have adequate people living within the region, and we have relied heavily upon mutual aid as the call force has been reduced. So between the combination of the off-duty personnel, I don't see this being a major factor down the road, or else I would not have agreed to it. I don't see most of the staff that's on duty and employed now have already bought within the 15 miles of the station right now. There is, this was brought forth, I believe, by one individual that is looking to get a little bit further closer to his family. And given the fact that we are the only one that had that radius requirement, I didn't object to it. But certainly, it's within the council's right.
Right, we were just discussing it. This is the first time we see it. This is the first reading that we're going to do tonight, and there'll be a second reading. I think we just, we want to have further discussion before the second reading to fully understand what the ramifications of that would be, and to make sure we understand it as a council. I think a lot of it might have to do with the fact that we're in a different world now, and the scarcity of firefighters and paramedics, and we have to open it up to be able to, that we can protect our citizens by making sure that we have the people that we need.
And that was my concern.
We're competing against other departments.
Yes, sir. And that was my concern back when we had the hiring process, that we had three people that put in.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it had to do with the residency requirement. So we are limiting our quality of applicant pool by having that residency requirement. And again, we are the only department within the surrounding mutual aid jurisdictions, I want to say, all the way up to the Bangor area. I know there's some Portland firefighters that live in Fairfield, so there's not too many departments in the state that have this residency requirement.
Yeah.
It's also due to the nature of the shift. You know, they work a 24-hour shift and then they can go home. There is no obligation to come back unless it's a catastrophic event, and then I have that authority to call them in.
Yeah. Is there any other questions by the council regarding this? If none, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think there'll be questions from some of us, between the next reading, just so we can clarify this. I still have a few concerns, obviously.
Sure.
Other people might too, but-
Anything I can do to clear it up would be great.
Yep, thanks. Is this a roll call, Judy?
It
I mean,
is.
Lisa?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Tricia Ayer?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes.
Lee Trahan?
Yes.
Jerry Clarion?
Order number 14, 2020, providing for the acceptance of Blue Jay Way in a portion of Partridge Lane located in the approved Heartland Estates condominium subdivision and recorded at the Kennebec County Register of Deeds.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? If no discussion,
Roll call?
Lisa? Yep.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Tricia Ayer?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes.
Lee Trahan?
Yes.
Yes.
Clarion?
Order number 15-2020, providing for the sale of 5 tax-acquired properties.
Second.
Discussion?
Well, this will be 2 readings anyway, so we won't list it till
Yeah.
next reading. Our address here as well, tax collector, if you guys want any specifics on the properties, the amounts.
Is this abnormal, or is it like, you see this as part of what's happening in the last couple months, or is this just been on, these things have just kind of all of a sudden hit us? 5 is a lot. I can't remember when we were acquired 5 at the same time.
Well, I guess I have to defer to Mike, because this will be my first time going around.
Okay.
So I'm not really sure if this is a high volume or not.
If I may,
Yep.
5 is unusual. Generally, I would say we get an average probably around 3. Prior to 2007, it was rare that we saw any foreclosures or had any foreclosures. Then they slowly began creeping up, but 5 is the highest, I think, that I've seen.
Yeah, I noticed that. No further discussion, Lisa?
Let's see. So, Jeff West?
Yes.
Tricia Ayer?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes.
Lee Trahan?
Yes.
Jerry
Yes.
Clarion?
Resolution number 28, 2020, providing for the adoption of attached ambulance financial account structure. I have a motion to open.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? Jeff, could you say a few things? This is one of the things, we set it up like a sanitary account where it's separate so that, and Chief, if you could come up too, that all funding or all revenues from the ambulance service will go into this account.
Yes, sir. It'll go back into the fire departments to offset the fire department's operating expenses.
Yeah.
We talked about it being transparent and posting on social media as well.
It's a way to show how it's doing, as opposed to going back into the general fund. The funds will go directly to the fire department, and we can show the exact expenses that are being appropriated towards the running of the ambulance service.
Yep.
And we set it up similar to the sanitary district, or sanitary account.
just for records keeping, then we can also set it up so if there's something specific we want the money to go to, we can have it set up in that account to pay it automatically. Or if we want to use, for like the purchase of the sanitary truck, you know, that $100,000 payment or whatever goes out once a year, or whatever it is.
Do you have ideas of what you want to use the money for?
I'd like it to go towards our capital improvement. And that includes apparatus and any, you know, remodeling. Dare I go down that road, but,
Well, not today.
right, probably not a good idea.
You know, I think my concern has always been is that we have one ambulance right now, and, you know, mechanically, I know that it's a sound piece of apparatus, but for continuation of service, I've always felt that we needed to have a backup ambulance or available in a very short time so that we can have that continuation of services, that we don't go back. Number one, people get used to seeing us at a site and transferring. I would hate to have to go back
I agree.
and use somebody else's, not that they're not fully adequate.
Understood. Nope,
But-
understood.
And then the second is, of course, patient care, but also a revenue source that, you know, that we want to keep that continuation. So it's always been my concern that there's only one primary ambulance, but not a backup at this point in time. So, you know what I mean? My feeling was always that we should, as quick as we can, you know, when we see where we are financially, look into a backup ambulance.
Mr. Chairman, I absolutely support the idea of having a second ambulance, without question.
Are you going to bring that forward next month?
See how the first one works first.
One thing I think we need to see what are maybe a couple months of estimated revenues and see how it's going, and then, you know, at that point in time, you know, as we move along and we feel more comfortable with what we're doing and new, that we see that, you know, that has to be, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, one of the top priorities that we have as we move forward.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Is that a roll call, Lisa? or-
No.
It's just show of hands?
Yep, show of hands.
All those in favor of 28-220, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Resolution number 29-2020, providing for the confirmation of designator Paul Forgemy as administrative officer with the powers and duties of managing during the transition
So moved.
to a new town manager. Any discussion?
For as long as we want.
You may have to find a
But not
replacement
during
for,
budgets.
well, you may have to find a replacement for Public Works.
No, and I think, yeah. Yeah, no, but I think I can speak from the council that, you know, we're happy to have you in our midst, to be able to come in and have the training in the past with Mike to prepare you for this transition, and we are very highly appreciative of you accepting the position, and we know that you will carry on in a great way until we can get the process.
We'll do the best that we can and
Yeah.
get things done.
Yep. Is that a
It is not just show of hands.
show of hands? All those in favor? All those opposed? Resolution number 30, 2020, providing for the confirming of appointment of Tanya Gross to the position of
Second.
treasurer. Any discussion?
Do you have anything you want to say? You want to come up to the mic?
Thank you.
Next meeting will be the pay raise, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
She talks
Yeah.
a lot when she's not in public. Just kidding.
She'll have to give it. She'll have to give a 10-minute speech, then she won't.
Yeah. Can't shut her up when she's out. But all those, is that a roll call?
It is
It's
not a roll call.
Just show of hands.
Yep.
Show of hands, all those in favor? All those opposed? Resolution number 31, 2020, providing for the authorization for the fire chief to sign an attached agreement with Dr. Timothy P. for the medical director service.
Second.
And come on up.
I got a strength like a yo-yo.
Yeah, really.
Either that or a bad penny, I
You
don't
should,
know.
I should be able to look at you and you should come right up.
Yeah, but no question.
Without any type of gesture.
No hesitation.
Yeah, yeah. Could you just explain for the people here, because I read the contract, what the medical director and what the quality program that he instills into the
Sure.
calls of the town?
Yeah, Dr. Pei is our regional medical director, so he oversees Region 3, all medical responses. Bringing him in for our use is instrumental for our quality improvement, quality assurance program. We have QA/QI process whereby every call that is that we run into a run sheet, it gets reviewed against certain benchmarks. And he helps us and assists us in itemizing the benchmarks, and it provides feedback where we do good, where we could maybe use some improvement, and it is an invaluable asset to our quality improvement program.
And you review almost every call, right?
We do review every call.
And he's in contact with the hospital and the fire department.
That's
for
correct.
review and for quality assurance of the level of care.
That's correct.
Giving to our citizens.
And if there's a question that we might have, he's an invaluable resource for us to go to. And that's a bargain. He's worth well more than that, and that is a bargain.
Is this a roll call, Lisa, or
It
just?
is not a
Just a show of hands? All those, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of number 30, got 220, raise your hand. All those opposed? Discussion items, we'll go right into cemeteries.
Back during the budget time, we talked about the ordinance for the town was not being followed for the cemeteries. So I put it on everyone's spots, what it currently says. We're not doing anything close to that. Right now, we have one resident on the committee. From the 4 years that I've been here, I don't think the committee's met regularly or has been fully staffed once. And nor do we follow the committee anyways in here. And so I know, like Jeff had mentioned, possibly being interested in maybe a couple town residents looking at this and seeing how we want it to look, and then editing this to be correct. Because like as it states, the money for cemetery should go to the superintendent, and they vote on the contracts, they deal with the maintenance, and right now it's kind of coming through Parks and Rec, and that we need some policies for maintenance, and we also need policies around what people can do in the cemeteries. And we have a couple of town residents, one of which is Steve Susi. He puts flags on the stones at Veterans Weekend and Memorial Weekend. He has talked about going to a class in New Hampshire about fixing the older stones, or possibly bringing someone up here to teach a group of volunteers to fix stones. And so all of this would be kind of run through the committee as well. So I'm just looking for the okay to form that group to revamp this.
I am still interested.
Perfect.
Not Steve on it.
Yeah, I think Jeff and I volunteered to be on that committee.
Perfect.
I think that's an important committee to be on.
Perfect. Right, that's basically. Oops. I already signed him up.
I saw his hand go up, so.
That goes without saying. That's
Chairman,
just a-
right?
yeah. I got
So
that.
if you're okay with that, then I can send an email out with a couple of residents that are interested in the two of you and myself, and we can revamp this.
Yep, we can.
That's it.
We can.
Thank you.
Nope, not quite. I know that we had talked about with Lee, that piece of land on Halifax Street, that
Yes.
the town, as part of this CHVU building, that is now, the town took over during the Cedar Brook mishap. And we're gonna put a small committee together to
Yes.
look at what we need to do to make that piece of land safe and access to what we need to do, so.
Yes.
Is that still on your plans, Amanda?
Yes, I already have like the aerials and like the map, it's on my list of,
Okay, list of.
lots of committees in the last month or
Oh,
two.
there is, like, oh, it's crazy. I
So,
admit.
it's still on there, as well as the birthday for Winslow,
The what?
as well as the birthday for
Yes,
Winslow.
Winslow is celebrating next year 250 years of incorporated as a town, which was 1771, so if my math is right. So we're looking,
Yes.
she's forming a committee for that. Anybody would like to be on that committee, or?
Mike, obviously.
Yeah. Mike's on it. Jerry and I volunteered to be
I
on it.
think it was
also.
you, Lee, I think Lee also maybe on that one.
Yeah, oh, of course, Lee,
Yeah.
yes. Yep, yep.
Anyone else want to join? It's gonna be fun. Yeah, I got you, Jerry.
Yeah, so, that will be good.
Well, I got one question on a discussion item.
Yes.
How are you coming with CMP and FIP, well, consolidated?
I have the approval, we have the insurance, and then they sent a follow-up saying they were gonna start charging per pole. And so I have called 3 times to the gentleman who sent the email, and I'm waiting for correspondence back to clarify that. And I have talked to other municipalities, and they just put the flags up and didn't really get approval. And maybe that's, but.
So are we gonna do that?
No, because I've already gone this far. But, so I'm just looking for clarification because I don't want to put stuff on 30 poles and then get a bill for, $1,000. So.
How many you have?
No, I was throwing a number out there.
okay.
With everything with COVID, the group decided it wasn't appropriate to necessarily go out and fundraise from businesses for the banner holders. So we're kind of on a hiatus until things kind of calm down a bit.
If you put stuff on the pole without their permission, you're trespassing.
We do have the permission now. It's just a matter of if that's going to change, like, what they sent me is accurate. Anything else?
No, and just, of course, obviously, you've got a lot on your plate with everything going on, but I've been soliciting businesses too for the 250-year celebration, so
Oh,
as soon as we can.
good job.
As soon as we can start collecting money and do some planning for that event.
Perfect. All
That would
right.
be great.
Thank you.
The only, I just have one more topic for discussion, and anybody else have any topics for discussion is, probably now about 4 months ago, Mike gave me a call and asked me if I was interested in joining a committee that was being sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce, the Mid-Maine Chamber of Commerce, about a committee. It was a Inclusion and Diversity Committee. So a lot of the Central Maine people from Oakland, Fairfield, Waterville, and other surrounding towns have been meeting in the basement of the Mid-Maine Chamber, in the boardroom down there. So a lot of this good discussions about what was about this subject. And one of the things the committee has come up with is the Kennebec Valley Regional Diversity Declaration. So this is the first time I kind of bring it as far as discussion to the council, and I have copies here that I'll give to the council. And then Gary Bowman, the town manager of Oakland, what the committee down there, like there's it's about 15, 20 people, and Gary Bowman at the town of Oakland have made this declaration of diversity and inclusion into a resolution that he plans on putting in front of his council. So I've got copies of that too. So I just wanted to pass these out, and then in the future, I think my plan would be, after review, is to put a resolution in front of the council, like the town of Oakland has, the town of Fairfield's going to do. I don't know if the town of Waterville's going to do it or not, but I wanted everybody's input prior to that. So I feel very strongly about this issue. I feel that it's something that sometimes councils are a little leery of, but I think that once they read it and have input into it, that I hope that it's something that we can move forward on. So that's all, and I'll hand it out after the meeting. Any other discussion items?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? We are